Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it's early in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. Just showing you a little view of the area before I begin this video with you guys. Okay, did I did. It's a tricky thing when you're dealing with cameras, you know, because cameras can be all problem. Anywho, here we go. So, we're talking about boxing. And we're talking about the weekend fights. And, well, we're about to talk about it in some detail. Just finished watching most of the weekend fights. And I gotta say that when I look at what's happening in boxing, I am somewhat astonished. You know, the guys who were the underdogs in every single fight, the underdog, except for one fight, I think. The underdog proved to be a great challenger. Great challenger. Now, there were two fights in which I thought were prematurely stopped. The referee called off the fights. I understand that what Sergio Moro was saying about damage to fighters, but I do seriously believe that these fighters still should have had a chance to redeem themselves. The referee should have at least cautioned the fighters before proceeding onwards. Should have at least said, okay, if you fall this time, if you take any extra damage, you know, this is it. I'm going to stop the fight. So I thought that on the referee's part for both fighters that I'm talking about in the fights, for those of you who saw the fights, I thought that the referees were quite premature in their stoppages of the fights. And then there was a fight in which I thought it was a robbery. And the reason why I thought that fight was a robbery is because it was a 10-round fight. We'll talk about the fight. I'll tell you how I scored the fight so you guys could see what I'm talking about. But honestly, I thought that fight was a robbery. I just sometimes this is what brings boxing down somewhat. It was just wrong what happened. And it was a clear robbery. And the reason why I can say it's a clear robbery is because the person who fought the other fighter literally beat her up. I mean, really beat her up. Rough her up, beat her up. She got beat up, you know. So we're going to get to that. And then we had one fight in which the champion showed that he was a champion. The contender who came to the fight, it was prematurely stopped, yes, I thought. But the contender was beating up the other guy, to be honest with you. He was beating up the other guy. The other guy was game. And so we're going to get into all of those fights, all right? The only fight I didn't see was Josh Kelly versus, hold on, I'll tell you. So I have all the fights in front of me. Josh Kelly versus Ray Robinson, which I thought, I'm just guessing here, Josh Kelly probably beat Ray Robinson. You know, they were fighting welterweights, so I'm assuming he beat him. I could be wrong because the way how these fights are going, you know, contenders, they are game. So let's get into it. Let's start off with the big fight. Let's get that out of the way. Anthony Joshua versus Andy Ruiz Jr. What can I say? This is one of the fights that I thought was prematurely stopped, even though Andy Ruiz Jr. was beating up Anthony Joshua. What was very interesting to me is Anthony Joshua was not raising his hands and protecting with that two guard that he usually does, and using the roving guard to protect himself. And I know why. Andy Ruiz worked that body so well that Anthony Joshua had to drop his hands, so he got clipped with overhand rights, left hooks. You know, he was getting clocked with rights to the body. Andy Ruiz was mixing it up to the body, to the head. Andy Ruiz really is a good judge of distance. Good head movement. Coming in off an angle. Was the aggressor. Was the effective aggressor. Made Anthony Joshua back up. Was, you know, not only landing combinations, but he was counter-punching Anthony Joshua. Andy Ruiz is the goods. And like I said, I didn't see enough footage of Andy Ruiz to really say. People were saying that this was tough competition. I did see Andy Ruiz beat another guy a couple months ago on PBC. This guy's the goods, and he got quicker foot speed too than Anthony Joshua. He gets into position quicker. He did get some shots. In fact, Anthony Joshua knocked him down, I think in the second round, if I'm not mistaken, or third. I can't remember. I think it's the second round. But Andy Ruiz came right back. And he came right back and basically dropped him too. They started trading. Now, the game plan that Anthony Joshua's team had, and himself and his trainer, was a stick and move, to fight him on the outside. Use the jab to keep him off. The thing with that is, Andy Ruiz not only shifts head slots, but he gets into position rather quickly. And for you to throw a second shot after your jab, because Anthony Joshua was popping the jab, when he got, the problem Anthony Joshua had was when he got Andy Ruiz hurt and he dropped him, caught him with a left hook, followed by a straight right, and knocked him down. After that, he thought he could finish him, so he came in closing the distance to finish him, and Andy Ruiz was game. Even though he got knocked down, it was more like a flash knockdown. So, I can't believe my hands hurting me. Trying to hold this. Oh, okay, I'm going to do it like this. Right, so it was like a flash knockdown. Man, this is so messed up. It was a flash knockdown. My arm's actually hurting me. This is some messed up crap. Alright, so, anywho, let's see if I can hold it this way. Press the power button. Hold on a second. Press the fucking power button. Anyways, this is gonna be harder. Anyway, I'm gonna try. So anyway, yeah. So he damn it. Yeah, so he engaged Andy Ruiz. Andy Ruiz was game, and he's a counterpuncher. So in scrap outs, that was not a good idea to try and fight Andy Ruiz. Because in the scrap out, Andy Ruiz proved to be too much for Anthony Joshua. And he closes the distance really nicely. He comes off the jab, may use a feint, use some head movement, get low. Even though he didn't get super low. He didn't have to. Anthony Joshua was fighting kind of tall. And he was game. And he was able to defeat Anthony Joshua, stopped him in the 7th. Now, when I said it was a premature stoppage, Anthony Joshua was still cognitive. He was tired, but he was cognitive. I think Andy Ruiz caught him with a right hook to the temple that put him down for the final knockdown. He got knocked down 4 times. Andy Ruiz got knocked down once. It was an exciting fight. Anthony Joshua lost his mouthpiece when he got knocked down the 4th time. He got up. He was cognitive. He was calm. The referee said to him, "Do you want to fight?" He said, "Yeah." Then the referee asked him again while he had his hands on the rope, and he said, "Yeah." And the referee just waved it off. Now, I don't know if it's Anthony Joshua's corner that waved it off or who, but the referee waved it off. And Anthony Joshua was like, "What?" He said it in a high-pitched voice. I actually heard it. And he just kind of maintained his cool after that, because he couldn't understand what was going on. Honestly, I would say that the ref should have let him fight, warn him, say, if you get knocked down again, I'm going to have to call off the fight. Right? If you take any excessive punishment again, I'm call. That's what the ref should do. I thought that, I don't know if he was trying to save Anthony Joshua. I don't know if his corner was trying to save him. I'm not too sure who. But he should have been allowed to either go out on the shield or been allowed to at least go a little further in the fight, like how Tyson Fury's, the referee for Tyson Fury did, because I think they called off that fight a little too soon. Anthony Joshua was cognitive, he was tired, but he was cognitive. He had taken a lot of punishment to the body, so he was going to be tired. You take that kind of punishment to the body. That's the thing with Andy Ruiz. He mixed it up from body to head. Some people say, well, how about Vladimir Klitschko? How are you to handle Andy Ruiz? Klitschko would have been a little more technical with his jab. But I don't think you can keep Ruiz at the end of his jab for too long, because Ruiz is a guy that respects distance. He gets clocked every now and then. But for the most part, he changes head slots so very well. However, he doesn't really bend low like I expected him to. But then he didn't need to because he was able to evade the jab without having to get super low. So it was interesting though, but I think Vladimir Klitschko would have probably done a little better job than Anthony Joshua was doing. I think Anthony Joshua was flicking out the jab sometimes instead of using the power jab. He was trying to mix up the jabs. But again, Andy Ruiz is a dude that you just can't hit him with a jab just like that. And if you're just going to jab and follow up with another punch, he might set you up and get you out of there. Clearly, he's quicker than Anthony Joshua. He's got ridiculous hand speed. And I think that's what makes the difference. I think he probably would have gotten Klitschko out of there too, because his hand speed is ridiculous. And he's quick on his feet. He's light on his feet. Surprisingly light on his feet for a big guy like that. So he, you know, and he came off of angles as well. I forgot to say that. He would throw his jab off an angle, and so he would negate that reach that Anthony Joshua would have. And that's something I'm trying to tell you guys. Pivot work. The thing with Andy Ruiz, he was pivoting around Anthony Joshua. Even though Anthony Joshua, he was walking out Anthony Joshua, he was coming in off of pivots. And pivot work is something that's very, very important in boxing. When you can see angles and stuff, you know where to throw your jab when a guy is out of position. And if the other guy doesn't know what he's doing, it gets tagged. You know what I mean? I don't know why I yawn every video. I don't know. I'm actually, I don't know. So, looks like today's going to have some rain. So, that's what basically happened there with that fight. Andy Ruiz had a lot going on in his game. We all know that most people think that Joseph Parker had won a controversial... Yeah, sorry about that. That Joseph Parker had won a controversial decision to Andy Ruiz because they thought Andy Ruiz had beaten him. Again, favoritism. And we're going to get back to that when we're talking about another fight where it was definitely a controversial decision. And I think they favored the person who could sell tickets versus the person who actually won the fight. And we'll get to that. And these are the fights that I call robberies. Okay, and I'll tell you why. I'll break it down so you guys can understand. Because I don't just call robbery just like out of the clear blue sky. No. All right. So let me get back to the other fights over there. So I want to get all the fights. Oh, I double quick. Okay. All right, let's talk about the other fight. There was a couple of them. The other fight was Callum Smith versus Hassan N'Dam. Hassan N'Dam was one of my... Okay. Hassan N'Dam was one of my favorite boxers. So difficult to hold this shit. My arms hurt me. Sorry about that, but when I'm doing videos, sometimes, you know, it's just so awkward to hold something so big like this Samsung tablet that's not good for shit. But nonetheless, I might reset because it doesn't have good memory. But yeah, so anyway, that was a good fight. It was a good fight because Hassan N'Dam kept on getting off the canvas like he always does. In this case, this is a similar fight to like Anthony Joshua versus Andy Ruiz, where Hassan N'Dam wanted to continue, which is why he got off the canvas, and the referee decided to call off the fight. And I think it was the third round. He called it off. He got caught flush with a straight right. Flush. Basically, Callum Smith gauged him with the jab. Didn't touch him, but he gauged him with the jab, and then he just, while Hassan N'Dam was trying to throw a hook or something, some combination or something. I think it was a right to of his arm. He got caught flush. He went down hard. He hit his head on the canvas. So after he got up from it, by the way, and turned around to the ref. He was cognizant and everything, a bit wobbly, but he's cognizant. The ref just called off the fight. He's like, you hit the head on the canvas. And Sergio Moros, again, he was saying that when you hit your head on the canvas like that, the ref really should wave off the fight. Make sure you are okay. I personally thought that he was cognitive enough to continue the fight. And if he got in trouble again, the ref should have called off the fight. I feel like referees should, at certain points in time, give the fighter the benefit of the doubt, because that's what they come into. It's a hurt business. And should allow them to at least get a chance to defend themselves. And if they guard on the shield or not, you stop the fight. You just be looking very intensely on them. Because if you get hit with the back of your head, I know that's a dangerous thing. But what I'm saying is, he was cognitive still. So they should go check and see, first of all, if he could fight on. And then if that can't happen, then you just wave up the fight. You just be like intensely looking at him as he's fighting. That's all you do as a ref. Anyways, so that was what happened there. Please don't press that fucking button. Okay. All right. So that's basically what happened there. And Callum Smith totally outboxed Hassan N'Dam. As soon as Hassan N'Dam tried to mount some kind of offense on Callum Smith, he'd have the answer. It's either a check left hook, or he dropped him with a couple of check left hooks running in, or he'd catch him like he caught him the last knockdown with a right after a jab. Okay, so he just gauged him and boom, took him out. Kind of reminded me of Deontay Wilder, except in the case Callum Smith didn't step in on Hassan N'Dam. He just let Hassan N'Dam come to him, and then he just counterpunched his ass. All right, the next fight, Katie Taylor versus Delphine Persoon. Man, that shit was. By the way, the two contenders I talk about, Andy Ruiz and Hassan N'Dam, they were game. Those guys were motivated. They were game. Hassan N'Dam would have continued the fight for sure, and Andy Ruiz won. So he is now the unified heavyweight champion of the world. Huge. And the first Mexican unified heavyweight champion of the world. Which means Andy Ruiz may end up facing Deontay Wilder. And that's going to be a good-ass fight because, once again, Andy Ruiz has the skills to be able to get by a jab. I haven't seen him get low enough yet, but he has good boxing skills. So I would love to see Andy Ruiz versus Deontay Wilder. That's a good-ass fight. As much as people wanted to see Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder, I thought Wilder would have gotten Joshua out of there or beat him. I thought Joshua had better defense, and he probably does, but not when you're working the body. And Andy Ruiz started off with a jab to the pit. That was the first punch he landed in the fight. Andy Ruiz worked the body and then softened him up and took him out on top. And with Deontay Wilder, I don't know if Wilder would have gone to his body like that, but I know Wilder would have gotten position on him, just as Andy Ruiz did, and would have clocked him with the overhand right. And you saw he got chopped down with left hooks and overhand rights. That's what he got messed up with Anthony Joshua. Of course, he dropped his hands because he was getting hit by body shots. So he would have maybe kept his defense up top more against Deontay Wilder. But he would have eventually got hit with the right hand. Don't get me wrong, Anthony Joshua's a good fight. Just that he matched up with a guy who could work the body. Alright? And could get by a jab. So that's just what it was. I thought that if Jarrell Miller had faced him, Jarrell Miller would have done him the same way. But Miller was juicing, so he don't want to talk about that. Alright, so please tell me you didn't press the button. You did, you fucking asshole. Is this thing still rolling? It's still rolling? Yes, it is. I keep getting angry with myself because I keep on pressing the button. Alright, anyway. Let's go on to the other fight. I was just trying to stay outdoors and mix it up and make things interesting. Katie Taylor versus Delphine Persoon. I'm just going to walk around a little bit so you guys can... Alright, now with that fight, this is a fight that I call a robbery. Delphine Persoon won that fight. Hands down. Even Sergio Mora had to admit Delphine Persoon won that fight. Even though he was biased towards... A lot of commentary was biased towards Katie Taylor until she started getting an ass beat. And when you hear them talking about Delphine Persoon more than Katie Taylor, Delphine Persoon was not the favorite, first of all. Two, Delphine Persoon was not an orthodox fighter. If anything, she was scrappy. She made it rough and tough. She reminded me of Marcus McDonough and just a whole bunch of rough and tough, rumbling kind of fighters, right? So anyway, yeah. Delphine Persoon brought the fight to Katie Taylor. I'm going to sit by this tree here. Alright, she brought that fight. She brought it. Katie Taylor was taking punishment. Her trainer wasn't helping her. I'm going to be honest with you. He was giving her, because he had never been probably in a situation like that, he was giving her some of the wrongest advice you could give. He was saying stick and move, and Turner. That worked for a couple rounds. But Delphine Persoon has a long reach. You saw what happened to Keith Thurman when he was facing Josecito Lopez. If you don't gauge that reach properly, you're going to get tagged all fucking night until you make an adjustment. Which is what Katie Taylor never made. She never made the adjustment to Delphine Persoon's reach. Now, to be fair, Delphine Persoon, because she lunges in all the time and leaps in, it's very difficult to avoid her punches. And she always shortens up her punches or adapts to be able to get to you. So, to be fair to Katie Taylor, something she was seeing that she had never seen before. And Delphine Persoon had a decent jab. Delphine Persoon from round 1 took control of that fight. Katie Taylor saw she could bring the heat to, can't bring the heat to Persoon. Alright, Katie Taylor I think won round 1, but round 2, Persoon took that. Taylor took 3, Persoon took 4, Taylor took 5. Or was it Persoon? No, Persoon took I think 2 and 3. And then Katie Taylor took 4. Persoon took 5, Katie Taylor took 6. So it was 3 and 3 to 6 rounds. 7 round Persoon took. 8 round I think Katie Taylor took. And then the 9th and the 10th Persoon took. I think that's how it went. It was 2 rounds in a row or something like that. Okay. Anyway, I had Persoon winning 6-4. Now you say 6-4, that's a close margin, you know what I'm saying? 6-4 is close. Now really, I'm gonna tell you what. As a 10 rounder, if I were to change that into 12 rounds, then we're looking at a fight in which Persoon would have won more rounds, because as the fight kept on going on, Persoon basically won. Persoon won round 9. She pulled away. No, I think it was earlier. She won round 8, 9. She won 2 rounds in a row anyway, and she pulled away. I think it was the championship rounds, 9 and 10. So Persoon basically pulled away in the fight. She was beating up Katie Taylor. She was trying to stop her. In the 10th round, she was trying to stop her. When she didn't stop her, you see her grimace. She was like, oh man, now I leave it in the hands of the judges. And true to form. One judge had a draw, 15-15. The other 2 judges had 6-4 for Katie Taylor. I was shocked. I thought they would give Persoon the fight, because clearly Persoon won this fight. It had nothing to do with commenters, because the commenters were biased towards Katie Taylor, and they had to acknowledge Persoon. But fuck, man. I mean, Persoon beat Katie Taylor. Now, if it was a 12-rounder, it would have been a fight in which would have gone 8-4. 8-4, because Persoon would have continued to win those later rounds. She just threw in another gear, and Katie Taylor was holding on. But if that fight went on longer, Persoon would have dominated Katie Taylor. Might have stopped her ass. Okay, she was taking serious punishment. And why I say that is because, and this is why it is a robbery. 6-4 in a 10-rounder is not the same as 115 to 113 in a 12-rounder. Alright? Because you got more rounds in a 12-rounder. So the margin is smaller. However, if you had to fight 5-5, or, well, 10 rounds is 5-5. Obviously, that's a draw. But 6-4 is not the same. Alright, it was a yin and yang, and then Persoon pulled away. I call it robbery because clearly, if you watch the fight, Persoon was having her way. It was Persoon's fight. Katie Taylor was fighting. She was trying to box her on the outside and pivot, and she had some success in certain rounds. But because Persoon made an adjustment and started to come in southpaw and orthodox, she just switched stance. She was off balance and all that shit, but she was coming in, lunging in all the time. With that long reach, she would catch Katie Taylor with certain shots. And when Katie Taylor, because Katie Taylor likes to throw combinations, she's not a pot shotter. Because Katie Taylor did not pot shot, she was throwing. Persoon had the opportunity to throw her combinations in the midst of it, and she was the bigger, stronger fighter. She was dominating Katie Taylor on the inside. Once Persoon made it an inside fight, it was rough, rugged, and dirty. She would hold, beat the shit out of Katie Taylor, hit her in the back of the head and all that shit. like Marcus Maidana did to Floyd. Floyd's different in that, you know, Floyd couldn't always close the distance. You know, he couldn't always box Marcus Maidana in the first fight. He was scrapping with him. Floyd wasn't getting hit flush with shots like that. He get hit flush with one shot, but the other shots he would miss. So you do like a combination of shots. If Marcus Maidana threw a combination, Floyd would get hit with one, right? And then he would counterpunch Marcus Maidana and stop him from throwing his combinations. So Marcus Maidana would reset. That wasn't the case with Katie Taylor and Person. Person was just landing fucking combinations in Katie Taylor's head, landing shots on her body, you know, hitting with the jab, you know. She's throwing a lot. Her activity was higher than Katie Taylor, and Sergio Mora said effective aggression. Person had effective aggression. They were talking about Vernon Forrest versus Ricardo Mayorga as an example. I don't think so. I think that Person is not Ricardo Mayorga. Ricardo Mayorga was a kind of fighter, kind of like Person, but not quite. He fought in spurts. Person is like an energy generating wheel. She just keeps going, and she has stamina. You know, Ricardo Mayorga was never really in good physical shape because he always smoking and shit like that. He just loved to fight. Person is like an athlete. She's trained to just... So what happened in the end anyway? Person didn't even stay in the ring or her trainer. They just walked out because she should be the undisputed lightweight champion of the world right now, not Katie Taylor. Katie Taylor got her ass beat. And I mean, she took punishment. I mean, she did discharge some punishment on Person, but you can see Person was used to that. Katie Taylor didn't know what the fuck to do in that fight. And now, onto her trainer. What her trainer should have done was he should have advised Katie Taylor to not only pivot, but she should also have gotten lower. So Katie Taylor was the shorter of the two. So to avoid that jab that Person was coming in, lunging in with, and then coming in on Katie Taylor, she needed to get low. So she had to pivot out the way, get low. So she's lower than Person. Once you're lower than Person, you can bump her with the shoulder and bump her off of you. So she's not just clinching up on you and locking up on you like that. The other thing she should have done, when Person comes on the inside, I don't think she had experience in that. I think her trainer was trying to tell her that. Was she needed to lock her up. Lock her up. You know, Floyd talked about it with Manny Pacquiao. He said, I was just dipping and turning, you know, slipping and moving. I'm gripping him up. I gotta be smart. You gotta be smart in these things. You gotta stop the action. The only way is to grip that fighter up. And if Person know how to fight out of a grip, your ass is grass. Because you gotta stop that action somehow, some way, to get control. The Person was cutting off the ring really well on Katie Taylor. Katie Taylor wasn't able to pivot out the way of Person for very long. Person, even though she off balance and shit, she pivots. She would pivot. She's like a heat seeker. She got that instinct to come after your ass. So with Katie Taylor, she had to get low so that Person would throw her shots. But since she's the taller fighter and she don't get low herself, you have to get lower than her to get position on her. And that was the one thing Katie Taylor's trainer wasn't telling her, which would have made a big difference in the fight. I think rain's coming. I gotta get out of here. All right, so let me get to the house. Oh. So that was one of the things. It was a learning experience for Katie Taylor. She squeaked by and got the win, but quite frankly, she deserved the loss. She lost that fight. And I was watching the fight. I was pretty impressed with Person because literally Person was beating the shit out of Katie Taylor. He was beating her up. You know, Katie Taylor ended up with a headbutt, which was not by a punch. And then she had a bruise on her nose. And then she had some bruises all over her face. Her body language told me that she lost that fight. She knew she lost that fight. And it was sad because that's boxing for you. That's boxing for you. So I was very disappointed in myself. Oh, a mango just fell. Let me show you guys some mangoes here. Put my phone down for a second. Oh, it's bird pack though. So this is by me. This is a tree. This is called a boxing spice tree. I just want you guys to see that. And well, these mangoes just fell. And this is a boxing spice mango. That one's not fresh. Let me see if I can find a fresh one for you. This is not a fresh one, but you know, got them all over the place. So I throw these things away. It's another one. Okay. You know, cool thing about here is you can't go hungry without food. There's always a tree or something around, something in season. Oh shit, there's a mango just fell. And another one just fell. Yeah, it's just you don't even have to pick them. They just fall from the tree. There you go. There's another one. It's crazy. I think so. Birds come through too and peck them and stuff. All right. Yeah. So anyway, that's the problem with boxing, man. You know. Anyways. Okay. Alright, let me... Oh. Hopefully I got internet back. Make sure I got internet. Can I pull this down? Can I pull this? Oh well. Hopefully I got internet. I'm not too sure if I got internet right now. This video's rolling. Okay, so... Yeah, so, that was that fight. Katie Taylor versus Delphine Purcell. Delphine made a very good account of herself. First debut in the United States of America on Matchroom Boxing on the Zone. She won that fight. I'm not even interested in seeing a rematch because I found that was unfair to Delphine Purcell. Hold on a second. Might have to go inside. Can't even tell you if this thing is working or not. Okay, anyway. Woo, that's quite a lot. Okay. So alright, so let me wrap this up. Alright, the other fight that I watched was what else did I watch? The other fight I watched. Hey, Houston fought yesterday too. I didn't even know that. That's about it. So, yeah, those are the 3 fights I watched, and it was good boxing, man. It was good boxing. I was disappointed in, and Delphine Purcell again was another contender who again showed up for the fight. Showed up, boy. Did she show up for that fight? She really did. If the water pressure is high enough, well, it's gonna rain, so I don't even need to wet the glass. Hey, buddy. Here's buddy. You see somebody coming down the street? Okay, okay. So, nah. That's Buddy. See them in the background there? They're Rottweilers. Buddy's a mixed breed, so he's not full Rottweiler. He's a Rottweiler, but he's mixed with some other kind of dog. They're big dogs, though. Oh, big dogs. Yeah, so that was the weekend fights. You guys let me know. Hey, thank you so very much. I have 991 subscribers. I need, okay, the house probably is dark right now. I just need now 9 more subscribers. 9 more subscribers, and I got 1,000 subscribers. I can shoot this thing live so you guys can talk back to me. It's such a pain to be able to talk boxing and you guys can't respond in real time to that, you know. But I'm really trying to change up things, man. So hopefully you guys can invite other people to my channel so we can subscribe. They can subscribe and we can have some more videos. I will give you another update on my health and fitness as time goes along. I did not train yesterday, which I should have. But I did some shit which was not cool. It's costing me, man. It's costing me. I have to do the right things. I was eating mangoes early on this morning. That's